Hey everyone, welcome to the Thomas Blooms channel. I am your host, Thomas Blooms. Today is Saturday, March the 13th, and today is a busy day here, and it's a messy day. If you could look here, all the stuff has been moved. We got some tomato catchers here, but look at this, we have all this here, the shed is open. All this stuff. We are setting up the greenhouse today, or at least two sides of it, depending on the weather. It should be okay. And it's March 13th, and we're not going to be planting, but we're setting up for the planting. We're going to do some experiments later on with arugula just to see how that's going to grow in the warm temperatures during the day and the freezing temperatures at night. We're going to see how that works out. But first thing is first, we need to talk about your space. Now, one of the main things that you need to do to have a successful garden, flowers, veggies, fruits, whatever it is sunlight. Okay? And so where you should plant is also very important. Some of you who are in the GTA region, you have no choice. You have a windowsill, or whatever space you have on your property is the space you have. And that's fine. You can make it work in any position. But what you need to understand is that when you're in the GTA region, your sun is facing south. So this way. Yeah, sun. Great. Yeah. How do you orient your garden so that it takes advantage of south-facing weather? Because the more sun it gets, for the most part, the easier your plants grow. Okay, more sunlight, good. On average, plants need, fruits and vegetable plants need about 8 to 12 hours, depending on, some could go as low as 6, like lettuces, arugula, a lot of your greens, they can go with less hours. But the more the better for usually, especially when it comes to like what we view as tropical plants, like lemons, figs, peppers, all the different kinds of peppers. They really want that heat. And even your tomatoes, but it doesn't matter the region, you give it 10 to 12 hours of sun. They're great. So this garden here that I'm sort of in, just take you a little tour. We are in my backyard and we're facing northwest. So it's not the best. You want your gardens to face south as much as possible, but don't have a choice. So now we're facing northwest. So now we have to orientate our garden so that it takes advantage of the sun. Now you might think, okay, well, how do you do that if you're facing northwest conditions? Well, you put your garden in the northwest quadrant of your garden or your backyard. And that's what we've done too. Because the sun is coming in like this way, so I'm facing south, this is south, south. With the sun coming this way, okay, towards, you want as much sun to travel this way so that your fruits and vegetables can take advantage of that. Okay, so if you do it by the south, like I say, so here's the south again, so we're facing south. See that fence right there? That's shade. Okay, when the sun's coming this way, your shade is going to be coming towards the north. Okay, so fences, any objects, like for example, like this stuff here, these are my blueberries and blackberries. That's going to create shade. It's going to be creating shade for eventually this part right here. It's sunny right now, but in the early and in the later parts of the day, it's going to create shade. So you want your stuff on the north side as much as possible to take advantage of all the sun and reduce shade. Okay, so just some tips and tricks. But what we're going to do today is we're going to build the greenhouse, and I'm not going to film me building the greenhouse because that's going to look awkward. I'm going to make mistakes, and I want you all laughing at me. But what we're going to do is we're going to set up the greenhouse, and I'm going to explain why a greenhouse helps. Now, you don't need a greenhouse. Trust me, you don't. I do it because I like starting some of my stuff early. For example, arugula that I spoke to before, you can plant every 3 weeks throughout the year. It's all good. But it helps to start early because the greenhouse traps the heat inside and it helps thaw out your garden. And it also helps create that heat that seeds need to germinate. So that's why we do the things we do. So anyway, what we're going to do right now is I'm going to leave you guys. I'm going to set up the greenhouse, and hopefully by the end of this day I'll be able to recap and show you what it looks like inside, and also give you other reasons why we do the things we do. Okay, so just hold on for a second and I'll be right back. Okay, bye. Hey everyone, welcome back. As you can see behind me, the greenhouse is up. Let's take you a look at it here. I've had this for about, I want to say 4 years now, and it's starting to show some signs of wear. I'm going to have to start replacing it, especially the front here. As you can see up here, see how it's coming down a little bit? Whoops. Yeah, see how it's coming down a little bit? It should go all the way up, similar to the back here. Okay, whoops. Yeah, the back here. See how it's covered? Even though that's going down a little bit, it's still covered by it. So I'm going to have to get a solution out from Red Green, which is duct tape, which is the answer to any problem you have in the trades industry. Duct tape. Oh, and WD-40. But so I'm not finished yet, but I'll just take you in here. So this greenhouse is effective, especially for seed germination. What this does is it increases the temperature in this place significantly. For example, it will be 8 degrees outside in a spring, but in here, once everything is in place, it will be about, 19, 18, 19, for example. Sometimes you can hit 20 depending on if there's direct sun coming through here, because this is an insulator. And what this does is that it starts up your seed germination. Usually you want your seeds to grow in temperatures that are above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Celsius. Yeah, we're in Canada. I should know that, but unfortunately I don't right now. So I'll put an edit in the video to let you know like the degrees Celsius. But 60 and up, tropical plants like peppers, they need the 70s. And if you're looking at to grow chili peppers or anything like really, really tropical, you're looking at, high 70s, low 80s. So those things are not practical at this point, being March the 13th. But like I said, we could start soon once this stuff here gets all thawed. I tried here in the little corner here. Let's see if you can see that. See that right there? It looks a little bit disturbed. Yeah, I did some raking there, and it's still frozen. So what also this does is that it keeps it away from frost, and it allows it to warm up faster so that I'm ready to plant some arugula hopefully next week, maybe 3rd week of March, whichever comes first. And yeah, that's basically it. And also it keeps the birds away. I don't know if you've gardened before, but birds, oh my God, so annoying. It also keeps out more or less squirrels and other little furry rodents. It's the moving of the tarp. This is not an airtight seal. It's not a squirrel or mouse-proof seal. But when the wind comes by and it moves the tarp and things are shaking, it frightens them away for the most part. If you have serious motivated critters, yes, they will get in. But for the most part, it keeps them away. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Oh, yes, the greenhouse, it goes up and it comes down at about the end of June. The reason why is because by the end of June, you're looking at temperatures in the 90s consistently in this place. Vegetables, especially fruits and other veggies, you could overcook them. The temperature, you can literally cook them and cook the roots, especially if you're in a raised garden where the heat distribution isn't the best because it's in a container basically. So you don't want your roots cooked, you don't want your leaves cooked. So this comes down and it's easy to take down. And then at about the 3rd week of August, I put this back up again. The reason why is because I want to grow some fall veggies, or I guess veggies in the fall. Again, more arugula, I could do peas, lettuce, that kind of thing. In the cooler temperatures of September and October, it's really, really good. And this greenhouse, this shelter basically, keeps the temperatures consistently warm. Now, this is not a heat insulator, So you might be asking, oh, you could do this in the wintertime. No. No. This doesn't work in the wintertime. You need something that is like airtight to really do something in the wintertime, and the energy cost and everything, it's not my thing. But if you could afford it, how about it? So that pretty much wraps things up. So I'm just doing some final touches. Like for example, like right here, I put some rods in here to hold it down. As you can see it, how it's moving up. So we get really strong winds here. This is a new development in the north end. We're literally right beside the Toronto border, so you can kind of guess where we are, and you wouldn't be far off. But this used to be farmland, and the development isn't done, so there's a lot of open spaces. And I find that in the north end, away from the lake effect of Lake Ontario, you get some really strong winds coming through here, and the fact that they've taken down most of the trees, only a few houses go up, the wind, it gets stronger and it can whip right through. So when you hear like 25-kilometer winds in Toronto, out here it's 35 to 40, which doesn't mean much, but it is a lot. And when you get those really windy days, you really have to get creative. I've had to put clamps on here, more duct tape, just to hold this down and keep it secure. But I also have clamps actually in the ground, and I have them tied to these clamps, so they're not moving. And I also have it somewhat attached to the actual garden itself. And as you can see, we're talking about hundreds of pounds of support, so it doesn't move. Now you might be asking yourself, okay, so you have a garden, so a greenhouse, so I need a greenhouse? No, you don't need a greenhouse. You could follow the Farmer's Almanac or any other place for best planting. You want to avoid frost, but let me tell you a little bit about frost. Frost, when you see the minus on the TV, like for the weather report and all that, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of bad, but not the end of the world. What you want to understand is that frost is usually bad for your plants, especially the tropical ones. But for greenery like arugula, spinach, lettuce, they could handle a tiny bit of frost. And when I mean a tiny bit, I mean like no more than -2 or -3 for a short amount of time. And so what happens is when you see the report that, oh, it's going to be -2 or -1 overnight as a low, check the hourly breakdown, because usually what that means is that if it is accurate, it is -2 at its lowest, but it's only that way for a short amount of time. So when you get positive temperatures during the day, like we do here, it's supposed to go to 6. And then tomorrow, I believe, it's going to go to 3. There's not necessarily a crazy fluctuation in the temperature, and it's going to be coldest during like 4 to 6 a.m. That's usually when it's coldest. So for a few hours, minus, it could take it. But what I also recommend for you, and I'll go grab this release, if you are concerned with frost, there are ways to avoid the damage that frost can give you. And one of the things that I like to do, and there's some hacks with this too, so you don't have to necessarily buy these things. I just got it just because I tested it, and it seemed to work out. Okay, where are we here? Yeah, so I got these things right here. Okay, they're a little discolored because they've been with me for 4 or 5 years. Normally they're clear. Doesn't matter if they're clear or not, but these are mini greenhouses. Okay, and you could put that on the soil above seedlings that you have or seeds that you have to avoid that frost damage. And it's getting that direct air, that frost air on the plants that really damages them. So that's why this greenhouse here helps to block most of the frost damage, but also these things as well. They help. And if you can combine the two, or get like a container within a container, like get like a bigger container on this, that's fine. If you're just starting out and you have the tiniest seed, you could use those Tupperware stuff that you get from takeout. I suppose that could work. You could also, like, for example, depending on how developed your plants are, and flowers are one of them, you can even wrap a shopping bag around them. It's not the best, but any direct barrier between frost air and your plants will definitely help. Okay. I'm sure many of you have other ideas on how to avoid the frost if you are planning around frost time, and you can suggest them in the comments. That'd be great, because although I know some, I don't know all of them. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but if you have good ideas to help protect your plants from frost, this is your time to list it. But if you don't have a greenhouse, or you really can't get these, I mean, then you can use other things. But what I recommend is planting in May. Everyone says, oh, the May 2-4, the May 2-4, because that's usually far away from the last frost date. And garden centers galore go to this date. And people always on the May 2-4, the long weekend, always go on that date. So it's really busy. I depending on the weather, you know, try planting a little bit earlier. Also, getting your stuff a little earlier, you'll avoid the crowds, everything else. But generally, with the way the trends are in climate and with weather, you can get away with planting it earlier in May. Now I jinx myself. Now that I said that, it's going to be the -7 or -10 every night in May. But for real, you guys should be able to plant in May, no problem. But also look at what you want to plant, because if you take things like arugula and spinach and lettuce, you can plant in April. No, seriously, you can plant them in April and they will succeed, because they don't mind cold weather. Like, it's +6 right now, and if it wasn't, if my soil was a little softer, I'd plant today. I would. I believe that it could take those within the greenhouse, it can take those chilly nights in March. But your lettuce, I say romaine because it's the healthiest lettuce of them all, but your iceberg lettuces, your other forms of lettuce, they can take cold weather. Okay, so don't be afraid to test it. What have you got to lose? Like a seed or two? Plant two per spot. Plant 2 seeds. That way, if one germinates and the other one doesn't, you know, good. If both of them, you'll thin one out by taking one out. But you always want to plant 2 in one spot and 2 in one spot, just to make sure that they're successful. Okay, so if you have any other questions about frost and planting, feel free to make a comment on here, and I'll try and answer it. And other experts, if you want to chime in and answer too, that'd be great. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe. And I know that these videos are kind of raw right now. I post them unedited. I will get better. This is, like, I think my 3rd video. So I'll be getting better with this right now, and I'll know that years from now I'll look back on this and be like, oh my god, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, seriously. But for now, this is it. This is just like my starter videos. I just want to get this out there because for me, I put myself under time crunches. March is basically the start, and I was a little behind this year. I didn't get started until March the 5th, which I'll post a video on in terms of what I do with my seeds, and how do I do my seed germination. But right now, it was important for me to get this up and get this going, because I wanted the garden to start thawing a little bit better, and I was hoping to do that last weekend, but I couldn't. So here we are this week. So what else do I want to talk to you about? No, I think that's it. So like I said, click the like button, subscribe, and I'll be posting more videos in the future. I'll include my seed germination thing. I'll also talk about my experimental strawberry tower that got influenced by another YouTube gardener, and we'll talk about other things. Okay, so from me to you, take care of yourself, and this is Thomas Blooms, and I will see you again. All right, take care. Bye.